Hello, my name is Salty, and I'm a motorcycle addict. Tonight's meeting of degenerates and a few honorable, uncorrupted souls, but that is still up for debate, which would be political. So, I'm back again with another episode of Chopper Talk, Tales from the Road. Let off the throttle, pull in that clutch, put on the brake, sit back and relax while we look at what I've conjured up on this episode. From within the Badger set, a different type of hole. Don't forget this off season. Please remember those of us riders suffering through winter with PMS. Our bikes suffer too from parked motorcycle syndrome. Still trying to convince my wife motorcycles are a good financial investment. She doesn't agree, but I may have just conjured up a way that she may be in somewhat of agreement of in aspects of choppers. I will not forget to unrestrain her, ask her later after this show if she is more sociable. If not, I'm always willing to trade one basket case for another. Maybe you'll have better luck with her than I do. Let's sit back and talk about motorcycles, the lifestyle. It's all about the adventure. Most of all, remember, chopping ain't easy. If I wanted to ride something easy, I would have called your girlfriend. Moderators, please control the trolls and engage upon with politeness and positively with added dash of sarcasm and ill-mannered humor to enlighten the rest of the inhabitants of the chat. If that troll makes the choice to re-engage the moderator or myself, it is his choice to carry on or terminate. If it is directed at another member of the chat or a person that is not present, or if that statement is vulgar or threatening, terminate. Otherwise, try to de-escalate before dropping the hammer. These are the rules of engagement. Without further ado, let's kick it in gear and get to chopping. Salty Badger arriving. All right, guys, let's get chopping. Where this episode of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road takes us. Tonight's guest is backstage, and I don't want to keep him back there any longer, so I will start this evening off. Easter's right around the corner, and I reached down another hole for this guest. This special guest edition of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is coming to us live through StreamYard on YouTube from the Badger set, streaming to you on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, so my kids have no excuse to miss an episode, unless, of course, I just plain bore them, and that's the case, I understand. Oh, if that's the case, I understand. This special guest edition. Oops. Tonight's special guest of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is chopper builder, motorcycle enthusiast, and creator Bueller. Please join us as I learn about his journey on two wheels. All right, can you hear me? We're live.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, here's Bueller. It's good. Thank you for coming on and joining us on the show. Appreciate you. Good evening again for coming on. And we'll start right off with the first question before we jump right into it. So, when was your first memorable motorcycle experience?
Uh, well, very similar to you riding with your, I think it was your granddaughter on the handlebars. Uh, yeah, I was real young. My dad was big into Kawasaki's and BMWs and stuff like that. And I remember riding with him on an early BMW, and that just took off. Yeah, I must have been six or seven.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, everybody once it sticks with you and you kind of keep on going from there.
Yep.
Um, so how long have you been riding for?
Oh, good God. Most of my life. I really, to be honest with you, God, I'm 50 now. It had to have been, God, what did I started riding on a Bell Taco. What is it? A 125, I think. I don't remember what the CCs were, but it was an old blue Bell Taco. And I just love that thing. We tore it up. But yeah,
Nice.
so God, I'm going to have to say 40 years.
Yeah, that's about. I think I started. I my first bike was my first memorable bike was a Trail 70, one of the old monkey bars that
Oh,
they had, fold down handlebars. I rode that thing everywhere. That was a lot of fun. And then, but I guess when I was young, before I had the motorized stuff, I had a chopper bicycle that was an old Schwinn that my dad had cut up and put a girder front end on the front of it because he was building choppers, and it made me learn real quick what chopper flop was when you have a long raked out motorcycle. And I always thought that was something normal. Um, the whole time I rode that whole chopper flop, everybody talks about how do you ride those things. I thought about it. I think I started riding out bicycles when they were that way. So luckily, I had a dad that was big into motorcycles and he kind of evolved me into it, and then almost to the point where I was forced into it. So I kind of took a break when I went in the military and kind of got out of it, and then jumped right back into it. Didn't realize what I was missing in those 6 years of my life. I think I lost part of my life completely that will never come back. What was your first motorcycle that started it all off?
oh, good God. Um, my very first, first motorcycle I ever rode by myself, like on the street, was a early '80s Honda Rebel, like a little 250, and I remember just I butchered the crap out of that thing. I mean, cut the pipes off, uh, cutting the seat, putting my own seat on it, um, doing a whole bunch of other stuff. When I was done, other than the handlebars and the frame part of it, you couldn't really tell it was a Rebel.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about, though. I mean that's fun and it's learning, and you making it your own. I mean we all anybody that rides a motorcycle pretty much does something to it, just not to the extreme that the rest of us are, or the certain amount of us are doing it. I just seen a patch earlier, something that said choppers 2%er because there's less and less of them that are cutting them and building choppers and making choppers really sketchy again.
Yeah, right.
So,
Uh,
um,
We have a saying in my little clique, I guess you could say, is the choppers are stupid, and it's they really are. If you think about it, they're cool as hell and they're fun to ride, but the practicality is they're just stupid. I love
yeah,
it though.
yeah. Choppers are fun until choppers are great until they do chopper things. I mean, like I've been saying lately, is choppers don't have odometers on them, and the reason why they don't is because you count the steps when you're pushing it when it breaks.
Yep.
So they're just choppers are great. They're a lot of fun, but they're gonna leave you ride choppers long enough. They're gonna leave you stranded. So you're gonna do some walking. You're gonna sit on the side of the road. You're gonna meet amazing people that come to help you and talk about your chopper with you. So
Yeah.
it's always a good time. Uh, so who would you say is your biggest influence in regards to motorcycles?
Oh, good God. Um, my biggest influence on like starting it.
Yeah, like who got like when you're who kind of got you into the building them, and what gives you the drive, and what do you look at when you're doing it? Because like mine, I mean, I grew up in that whole same area as you did, like the biker build off, Billy Lane, all them guys, and that's kind of where my influence on, besides my dad, but outside of my dad's influence, it came from watching them guys do it all. And
Um, well, so I came from a long line of carny, believe it or not. Uh, Granddad owned his own show. My dad worked for him for years and years. My dad's part of the Showman's Association. um, and the going with my dad and seeing like the balls of death and the motor drome and the wall of death where they ride on the inside of the wall. I grew up just smelling that and loving it, and looking at some of the old Harleys that they had going around and around, and that, yeah, I'd have to say that kind of is really what sparked my love for motorcycles. Secondly, then there's my father, which everybody's dad is their hero, I guess, but I just grew up around all of it, and I've loved every minute of it.
Well, I mean, the carny thing. That's a whole nother world in its own. And I mean, that had to be an amazing thing as a kid to grow up in the in the carny world. I would think so. And you've probably seen major parts of the country as a kid traveling with that.
Yeah, yeah. I met a lot of big people with it. Know, um, there's what was it? Joey Chitwood, the Daredevil. I got to meet him, because he was at the shows a lot of times. It was neat. It's a hard life,
Oh,
uh,
very.
but yeah, it did. Growing up with that, I had my dad, maybe 5 to 6 months out of the year, and the rest of the time it was all shows, and it's hard, but it taught me a lot and introduced me to a lot, and yeah, it's just that whole scene with the motorcycles and seeing the different, being from state to state to state to state, you see a lot of different choppers or a lot of different motorcycles in general that are done different ways. Like there's different styles. Like if you go to New Jersey, those choppers are going to be way different than if you go to Arizona.
Yes, and that's more true. I mean, I never really realized that until I really started being more in the chopper scene. I mean, you have like the St. Louis D rake, and you have like every part of the everybody's got their own thing on it, and it's where they stick to it. But definitely from East Coast to almost state to state, it changes really,
Yeah,
and it's weird the way that does, and it's not as demographically split up as it used to be now with the shows like Mama Tried and Fuel and the internet. It's kind of all become more of a neutralized thing because we obviously travel more. We meet more people. We talk to more people in it um, because of the internet. So it doesn't get as demographically split up, but you still have those different style motorcycles and chopper builds come from certain. It's still demographically split up the way that the builds are done.
yeah.
Um, what? So next question is, what would you say to the younger generation getting into motorcycles to inspire them to share the passion for motorcycles?
Uh, God, just send it. I mean, you never know. You're never gonna know until you fuck around and find out.
Right. No, that's
Uh,
definite true because
take the MSF course and then go have fun.
right.
Uh, it's that's what it's all about. It's about you know you, motorcycles have opened up a whole new world for people. You're meeting people that you never thought you would meet. You're making friends that are lifetime friends, and I mean, these are the type of friends that you can call at 2 a.m. and they'll help you go hide a body. Uh,
Yes.
and it's a true uh, I'm struggling to try to find the word, but I mean, it's just it's
It's
it's a true form of being yourself and being accepted by others and not having to be something that you're not.
it's a. I just the other day I just told somebody, I said it's a family, and you they always got your back, and if you're they're gonna get you out of the trouble you're in. They're gonna bail. If they're gonna somebody's gonna have bail money. And if you when you're hanging with a chopper crowd, and chopper guy's hardy a little bit harder than everybody else, but I would say that the motorcycle community is that one part of the community that fake it till you make it doesn't doesn't work. You got to be yourself. There ain't no faking it. You're either all in or you're. It,
Yes.
that's how you fit. It's there's not you, there's no faking it. You're either in or you're not.
You know, your crazy is going to match somebody else's crazy, and then this other guy, his crazy is going to compound off of your two crazies, and it's just going to click. And
Yep.
when it does, you'll take a step back and go, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. There is somebody else just as crazy as me, or I never thought nobody would fit that way. Or there's somebody crazier than me. What? Look at this guy.
Yep.
So it's crazy. The people that you meet and the like you said, it's the lifetime friends. Like once you meet them and you start hanging out with them, and they could be across the country, and you can call them for help, or they'll. I got people that I've met in the community. I can call them and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this." Like when I had my stroke, I had people calling me, "Hey, let's finish your bike. Send me the parts. We're going to finish it for you." I'm like, "No, you're not going to finish it for me." Well, I want to do it myself. And they're like, well, you can't. And I'm like, no, I can, but you're going to help me. Like, you're going to teach me how to do this stuff again. So, and it happens. You get lifelong friends out of it. And I've got local friends that are great friends. And I've got friends from across the country that I've met in shows. And I respect them all. And the community is huge. And the, even the bigger people in the community, they don't have that they're very humble and they'll talk to you and they'll teach you what they know. They like to share their knowledge. So, what was your first motorcycle build?
Uh, well, I cut my teeth on Kawasaki's. You know,
Nice.
I was building Kawasaki's, you know, like 440s, and you know, getting up into the 1100s and stuff like that. Um, I didn't really so you know that was stemming from my dad, and you know it wasn't until I got my first Buell that I figured out I like to really go fast. Um, I built a uh, O2 Buell uh, Thunderbolt, and I or no, excuse me, it was a Firebolt.
Okay.
It was an XB frame, and I had uh, the whole motor completely gone through. I had to have another guy help me with the transmission because I couldn't get the gearing just right with the transmission. But uh, by the time it was all said and done, that bike was pushing probably 1380.
Nice.
Um, it was stupid. Eventually I had to get rid of it because that bike was going to kill me. Because when I was on it, it just I would do wheelies at 90. You know, uh, I found the rev limiter in fifth gear. Um,
Nice.
it just man, uh, that bike was my first build. I would consider it more of a restoration with modifications.
Okay.
Uh, but that's when I really got into the whole modifying something, uh, cutting things and elongating them and uh, making things fit that weren't supposed to be there.
Is that where the name Bueller came from?
Exactly where the
I
name Bueller came from.
uh,
Uh,
that's kind of
I,
what I
I
figured as soon as you said that.
I collect them. I've got about three others sitting out there. My favorite mule is the Ulysses, which is the, I guess, kind of like the enduro class style bike, kind of like the Pan America.
Yeah. So my War Machine chopper that I'm building right now is a 2002 Buell Firebolt that it
Oh,
started out. That's what it started life as. So it's not any longer. It's a complete chopper. The only thing Buell about it is the powertrain, and that's it. But I am a Buell fan also. I'm a Sportster fan, but I definitely like the Buells. I even like the new Buell that's come out. It's built 40 minutes from my house. So I've talked to those guys, and Buells have always been a big part of my life too. So I have people don't understand that those are a very good platform for a lot of things.
yep.
So what is your daily rider or your go to bike when you're gonna go for a ride?
Uh, I have two. If I'm just going by myself or I'm going and I want to have a little bit of fun, I'll take the Ulysses. I like riding it. And if I'm going, like, if I'm going to be on it for hours at a time, usually I have an '07 Ultra Classic that I'll ride out just because it's got a lot of bags and storage.
Yep.
But right now, I'm most of my choppers are Triumph. Um, I'm working on putting my exhaust together on my pre-unit, and then I'm waiting on some machine work to come back. That bike that I'm on with the rabbit suit, uh,
Yes.
we just went through and completely rebuilt that motor, and
Okay.
we were having some issues with it. We had to send the cylinders off, and we had to send the head and some more machine work done to them. So hopefully I'll get that back, and I'll be able to get that back up and running.
Nice. That's I have a like my War Machine. If I'm gonna ride a chopper, that's usually one I would hop on. But I have a road glide that I ride. My wife rides 18 Ultra Classic. She's five or Street Glide, but she's 4 foot 11, and it's got air ride on it. She up and down rides it, but she doesn't like to ride with me, and she definitely doesn't like ride choppers. She rode the Fender one time coming back from a bike show, and she said never again. Like I didn't have foot pegs or anything. She put her legs around me. She's like, I'm older. I don't bend like this anymore. If she's like, it's just not for me. So, but she does like the choppers. Like she's got her own. Like we got a custom built chopper we built for her. I want to build it's a soft tail, but I want to build a full blown hardtail chopper for her height, with the drop seat and stuff, just so that she can enjoy the hardtail whole chopper life of it. So um, I have a one of the viewers on here had reached out to me earlier and asked a question. I just kind of threw this one in here. I'm going to start asking a little more common. What is your favorite platform or bike to start off with when building choppers? Do you have like a go-to starter?
Uh, I'm going to say, anything stock. I don't like getting. So I like bike. I don't like one particular brand. I mean, yeah, I'm partial to Triumphs because of Jared Weems. He's a really good friend of mine. But it doesn't matter what type of bike it is. As long as I'm starting from stock, that way it hasn't been hacked before, and I know what to expect. I guess would be where I would want to start with it.
Nice. But Must be one of your friends in the side chat. Benjamin just asked if you made sure and told me that choppers are stupid.
Yeah.
So,
See, see that's the little saying in my click. Absolutely.
yep. Yeah, that's a good one. That's like choppers are sketchy, choppers are stupid. I mean, they definitely
Yeah.
all that stuff does. So, um, do you? So I asked you earlier, but do you build professionally, or is it just a very expensive hobby?
It's a very expensive hobby. I've entered and won bike shows, uh, but I build for myself, and it's I build for just the camaraderie of friends. That's not anything that I would ever dream of doing professionally, just because I don't think that I have the uh, quote unquote super talent that a lot of these guys have. Um, it's a learning thing with me. It's like I've got to learn a lot more before I would even touch it professionally.
Yes, it definitely is. I mean, anybody that does it professionally of any sort, I have much respect for. I do it as an expensive hobby. Um, I still look at my trophy as being invited to a lot of the shows. Um, in fact, after being to a lot of the shows that you don't get trophies at, like Cycle Showcase, um, just a lot of those, like the Detroit Dam Show and stuff like that. Going to that kind of show, I actually kind of start to feel bad when I go to the smaller local shows and stuff, and they get trophies and I get something. It's not about the trophy; it's about the camaraderie and meeting people and going into the getting the show and being invited. That invitation to me is the trophy. Um, so I want to give a quick shout out to Riding with K Solo's podcast, stopping in and enjoying the show. If anybody's out there that hasn't checked out K Solo's podcast, definitely get in there and check out his riding. He's been a guest on here, and does a lot of legendary rides and puts out a lot of miles. So thanks for stopping in, K Solo, and enjoying the show. This is Bueller. He's got a YouTube channel. Evil Rick has changed. Everybody, make sure to get over there, like and subscribe to his stuff. He's on Instagram also. That's what we all do this for, is to get the likes, the shares, and all that stuff. So get out there and give him a little bit of support. Like, share it, check out his stuff, see what you think of it. And now we'll get back onto the show. And what is your favorite part of the build when you're doing it?
I I like figuring out what I'm going to do. Like, so the other day I was in the garage and I've got an old Norton sitting there,
Oh, nice.
and I have an old girder front end, and I had this solo seat, and I started just mocking it up. And I starting to see the different lines and how things work with each other, and the basically the flow of how the bike flows. That's my favorite part. Is coming up with that image that you see, and then turning it into something. You know, it I don't know. I guess I'm weird. I like the initial uh, kind of putting parts together to see what you come up with.
Yeah, I mean that's what we all do. We kind of all throw it at the wall, see what sticks, right?
Yeah,
We're just throw it at the bike and see what sticks, and hopefully it does.
yeah. Like calling a good friend of mine, going, "Hey, will this fit on this?" And then I usually end up with the answer, "Well, we can make anything fit." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Just because you can make it fit doesn't always make it a good idea, though.
This is true. This is true.
So, Do you have a least favorite part of the build?
Uh, Welding.
Welding.
I am not a good welder, and it just I don't like welding.
No. Everybody's got their downfalls to it. I mean, I can tell you my least favorite part of the build is when my wife looks at the bank account after I've gone and bought some chopper parts, and I have to come home and explain to her why the numbers went the other direction. So I'm not a very good financial person when it comes to time to build a chopper. I'll I'll throw all the money at it to see how it turns out. So sometimes I have to sleep on the couch or in the shed. Um, but
Yeah,
she never makes me sell anything when I'm done. She always lets me keep them. So she gets attached to them just like I do, and it's definitely a labor of love.
you're
So
lucky. I get.
yeah.
We don't need this many bikes. Why do we have bikes?
Oh, I get that too. I just hide them. My kids buy them now.
Oh,
So I just got to figure out a new place to ship parts to because she starts returning stuff sometimes now. So, um, so you said you have a current project or projects right now too, don't you?
oh, good God, yes. The one that I'm working on now is a 1959 uh, Triumph pre-unit with a Springer front end on it. Uh, a lot of people saw it out at the Forgotten Angels camp out. Um, I've got little things that I'm doing right now. We're working on putting a custom set of fishtail exhaust on it. It kind of swoops up in the back a little bit. It's going to be pretty rad. Um, I'm trying to get that ready for Sturgis. I want to take that to Sturgis, play around with it.
Nice. So you're definitely planning on going to Sturgis this year. Is that a yearly thing for you or
No, no, actually, I haven't been to Sturgis since I was like 12.
nice? Uh, we're definitely going to hook up in Sturgis because this is going to be my first time since I was like 13 or 14. Besides taking my kids, I took my kids there, but never during bike week. And I went when I was like 13 or 14 with my grandfather too, with my first bike week. So,
Nice.
but I'm planning on. It's on my list for this year of things to do that I have not fully formed my list yet. So, um, so what phase is that build in? It's gonna.
It is in the crappy, rusty chopper phase.
Uh,
Uh, I don't want to make it a show baby. I want it to be that crusty old chopper that uh, just looks cool no matter where it goes. Um, so it's got some dents, got a bunch of rust on it, bunch of oil, but it runs. It runs. We had to I had to rebuild the gearbox. We had to rebuild the magneto. Um,
it's all the fun stuff right there. Learning how
oh,
to.
good God! It's my first magneto bike. I've never owned an actual magneto
Oh,
bike,
okay.
and I learned a lot with that. I was like, holy crap! That it is pretty cool though because you don't need a battery to actually run the motor. I find that very cool.
Yes. Magnetos are great when they work. Magnetos are no fun when you have to learn why they don't work.
Yes, um, but it's all fun. You
Yeah,
know, my lights go through meltdown and my back's dead. I don't need a jump
right.
charge to get it started and go home.
Exactly. Yep. So do your builds, do you have like a blueprint that you stick to when you're doing it or do you draw them out or when you're doing it?
No, No. Um, I again, this is kind of why I go to these shows. I like seeing different things. Uh, you see the way people do things that is completely different than you've ever seen it done before, and it's like, you know what, that would look cool on this bike. And so you do it, and it turns out that it is pretty cool on that bike. But I no, I don't want all of my bikes to look the same. And I find that guys that do like all these drawings and schematics and this, that, and other, there's no artistry in it. There's no, everything looks the same. I mean, there's only a couple different ways that you can put together a shovel head where you recognize it as a shovel head. You
Right.
know, it do something different. It, I I'm one of those guys that I can go to a bike show and there'll be like millions of show quality bikes out there, and I'm in the corner looking at the scooter because the guy built an exhaust for it.
Right. Yep. In fact, that's at Cycle Showcase. Like I didn't go this year, but one of the biggest things that I found interesting was the sidecar that the guy made a Sportster sidecar, and the sidecar was the only part of the motorcycle. Like it's a little scooter. It's scooter paint or something like that. The thing's awesome, and I think the thing is just amazing. And a lot of the work that comes out of the different motorcycle shows is great, but I definitely I would fail if I had to draw my choppers because I can't. Like I've said many times on the show, I can't draw a stick figure. And if I drew a chopper and tried to make it look like the thing, I might as well just take everything I got and throw it in a pile and say, "There it is. That's all the scrap," because that's what my drawing looked like.
Yep.
So it'd have square wheels, maybe a hexagon front wheel, and handlebars would be a squiggly line, and there'd be no artwork involved. So, what would you say is your damn I did this moment in motorcycles?
Uh, uh Hell, it's I have those moments all the time when I fix something. It's like, you I fixed an axle the other day on that Norton, and it actually works. And it's like, damn, I did that. It's like when you're on your motorcycle and you're cruising at 60 miles an hour, and you look down and it's like, I was the one that tightened all of these bolts. I was the one that put these things in these places. That's kind of cool. you know um, it's also kind of scary at some, uh, but it's again, my shining moment was that '02 Buell Firebolt. I am quite proud of that build, and uh, I think that was the one of the coolest things that I've done.
That's awesome. That's good. The uh, the next question I have is well, it's more of a thing. And I recently seen a video you put out, you at the Mama Tried experience. Everybody, make sure to go over and check out that video and check out all the Mama Tried stuff if you haven't been there. But what do you think of the Mama Tried show, and what made you make that trip to Milwaukee in the middle of winter from nice warm Florida?
I think Mama Tried is one of the better shows to go to, that has large scale bikes in it. Um, One of my favorite things to do when you show up to shows is see a bunch of bikes that look like they just got rode in. Um, I don't like trailer babies. Those show bikes, they have a place. Winning international awards and stuff like that. That's great, but the shows I like are going to be uh, the older stuff, the stuff that when you park it on the showroom floor, it's still leaking oil. Um, they're not perfect, but they're, hand built, and that's what I like. That's what I like about Mama Tried is yes, there are, what I call paint and polish ponies there, but there's also some hardcore grinding bikes that were actually rode to the show,
Yes. Yep.
and that I think that's amazing.
Yeah. It's just a down to earth chopper party scenario scene. Every year, it's always a good time all the way around. And like I said earlier during the show, Flat Out Friday is a part of it that you got to be a part of to have the experience, and you got to have. There's so much that goes on around Milwaukee during that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Everybody at Mama Tried, no matter what the vendor is, from lowbrow to TC Brothers to Lead Sleds to whoever, everybody is willing to sit and take time and talk with you. Um, Especially if you've got a build coming up, or you need a part and you're not sure if this is going to fit or if this is going to go here. They'll Everybody's willing to talk with you and spend a little bit of time with you and help you with that, and that again is amazing to me.
yes, and they're very humble. Like I said earlier, they're very helpful. If they don't have it or don't know about it, they'll give you somebody to talk to that's been there and done that and knows how to help you out of the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Would you say that? What would you say your favorite show or event experience from last season was?
Oh God. Uh, I'm gonna say I had a lot of fun at the Nitty Gritty Chopper City last year. Um, that was the first time I got to hear Nick's band play FTW. Uh, that was amazing. Um, it was just everything there was just cool. The swap meet that they had, the uh, everything. I enjoyed it. Uh, the people that I met there, I still talk to a lot of those people on the daily from there. So I would have to say, memorable wise, uh, just gonna have to be that one.
Nice. That's a good one. I mean, Texas has a lot of good stuff out of it, but I think that's one of the good shows that they have is that one. Speaking of shows, have you ever done the North Carolina the Smokeout Rally from Cycle Source magazine?
I've heard of it. Um, Somebody was just asking me. I can't remember who it was, but uh, I I was just having a conversation about that with somebody, and I think we were trying to make that happen.
Yeah, that's in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm going to try to make that one. That's another one I'm going to try to put on my list for this year to happen. Um, Coming off from the stroke, I'm trying to get into it nice and slow and easy. But I'm an all in kind of guy. Once I get that ball rolling and somebody, I'm an all in. But I got to back down a little bit too and take it easy and got to take the take the licks as I get them. And the doctor hasn't fully released me for travel yet. And I go to take my driver's test actually on Monday to see if I get my license again. And my wife says, that doesn't mean you can ride motorcycles again right off the bat because you still have balance issues. And I'm like, yeah, but I can build a trike. So there's so many different things coming on to it. So um, next question in here: what is it in your opinion? What defies a chopper?
Uh, I mean, this is a long debate. Uh, I've had a lot of people ask me, and it's, to me, a chopper is how you make a motorcycle yours. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're chopping the frame. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're cutting off fenders, or it's how you make a motorcycle yours. I think is one of the better answers that I could give.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, that's definitely because I mean they used to have for like old Ironhead Sportsters, you could buy a bolt-on rear hardtail kit and make it. So you're not cutting the frame, you're doing nothing. You're on bolting things and bolting it in, and you've made it a hardtail. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I pretty much choppers or motorcycles that have been custom out and custom made, and that's even the way they were back in the '60s and everything. They weren't always cutting the frame and everything. They were modifying them, and that's what was making them choppers.
Yep.
You know, obviously the extreme choppers they've got the necks cut and raked and backbones shortened, lengthened, up big old upstretch, and um, but that goes back to the different parts of the different demographic places in the country where they go and how they build a chopper. So, but definitely anything on two wheels can be a chopper. It doesn't have to be cut up and chopped like that and everything.
Right.
So, um, I mean, I just wish I could. I wish I could just build one or knucklehead or one panhead chopper one time and be able to afford to keep it once I was done with it and not have to mortgage everything I own in order to buy that panhead or chopper right now.
Yeah.
Prices on even the Evo choppers are even starting to get expensive again, and even the shovel heads. I mean, the everything's expensive, but knuckleheads and an actual Harley knucklehead or an actual Harley Davidson panhead with papers is just so untouchable for the normal. And if you go buy one that's an actual bike, you can't chop it up anymore. At least I couldn't. I couldn't go buy a 1940s Harley and make it a chopper.
Yeah.
So um,
That comes back to that one statement. You're standing in front of this bike with a grinder, with a still, and you're looking at it going, I can't find another one of these.
yep, I'm gonna cry if I cut this thing up, and if I cut it up and I mess it up, I'm really gonna cry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hope I can weld the gap.
Yep. So, would you say that the chopper crowd is different than the rest of the motorcycle community?
Yes.
Yeah, most everybody does. They got their own little. How would you? What would you say makes them different? The way
They're
that they.
fucking crazy. You have to have a screw loose upstairs to get on one of these things and go forward. It just, that's just how it is. I mean, I've had some bikes that were, not that I condone this, but where I couldn't ride them unless I was like 3 beers in.
Well, my I've got a chopper that my kids all want to ride. It's a jockey shift foot clutch.
Yeah,
Hold everything in the world and pray to God you don't wreck the thing. And I'm like, no, that thing's not safe. They're like, but you get on it and ride it everywhere. I'm like, that's me. That's not my kids are in their 30s, but I'm not gonna put your life in danger to ride something because
yeah,
I rode it. You
yeah,
know, you want to ride it, we're gonna make it a not jockey shift. We're gonna make it have a hand clutch. We're gonna make it have a foot shift, and we're gonna take all the fun stuff out of it. And if you want to make that stuff your own and do it, I'm not gonna be responsible for it because I'm not gonna answer to your mom when she says, "How come they wrecked?" Because you put them on it, and it's not gonna happen. So, and I'm not gonna, and I wouldn't do it to my own kid anyways. But I think it's just dangerous, you know, and I don't even know if the welds are good on that chopper, all the way good. I mean, I'd have to take it apart and
See,
reinspect stuff.
this is what I was talking about. It. Choppers are stupid.
Yeah.
You're right. Things they're leaking oil. You're taking your hands off of the handlebars just to put it in another gear, and you're going 90 miles an hour, and there's no telling what's going to fall off.
The
But for
things are shaking apart. You can't
yeah,
see because your eyes are going nuts. You don't know if you're going to run out of gas. You might have gas all over you because it's spraying out of the fuel tank.
yep.
You
You
got oil. Your
turn a
chain.
just right, and fuel comes out of the fuel cap.
You've got a chain right by your leg that if it comes off like a old bicycle chain, it's going to take your leg with it. But you're
Yeah,
still going down the road. So
but
it,
I love every minute of it.
oh yeah, yeah. You know, half the time we don't have a front brake, don't know if the rear brake's going to work. You're dragging your feet to slow down to make a corner that you can't turn around because it's you got to turn so wide you might take the car out that's sitting on the other lane, but it's fun.
Absolutely.
So, would you say the chopper scene is making a comeback?
You know, I got to be honest with you. I don't think it ever really went anywhere. I think the chopper scene's always been there. Um, it's just with everything uh, it modifies itself with the times.
Yep.
You know, you've got newer style bikes, like the M8s and stuff like that that people are starting to chop up and make bikes out of. It's progress. Not everybody can afford these older bikes like we used to do back in the day because they're getting expensive. So they're getting what they can get their hands on and still doing it. But uh, I think the chopper scene is always going to be around. I don't think it's gone anywhere. Um, I think at some point there will always be that village idiot that gets on one of these stupid things and makes a name for himself.
And I think part of it, like I think part of it is our fault for the chopper thing kind of doing where it's kind of flatlined a little bit. Not just choppers thing, but motorcycles because the younger generation isn't labor involved, and we need to share that with them and like pass it down. Like if we don't pass it on and like just like doing stuff like this and talking about it, if we feel our passion, but we don't pass that passion on to the younger generations, then that would be our fault for it getting lost and not being moving on. Because I mean, like you say, choppers are stupid, man, but they're a hell of a lot of fun, and you can do some
Yeah.
crazy stuff, and you can live to talk about it, and you can live to say, why in the hell did I ever do that, and what made me think that was a good idea.
Mhm.
So there's so many good things that come out of it. So
Yeah.
uh, starting to wrap it up a little bit. What events might someone catch you at this year?
Like Nitty Gritty, Grundle Run, Forgotten Angels Camp Out, um, Sturgis this year. Uh, there's to be honest with you, it's hard to say because I always end up getting that call. Hey, there's a chopper show camp out. You want to go? Hell yeah, I do.
Yeah,
you I wasn't even planning on going. So it's like I want to get over to the Space Coast show uh, over there in the Cape Canaveral area. I've got a bunch of friends that go over there and do that, and I've never been over there. Um,
yeah,
Day, I've never actually been to Daytona. Well,
really.
during the bike show, I've never been during the bike show.
It's a lot of people in Florida say that, and I've never been to Daytona either, and I'm not the big bike rally guy. The crowds in this that kind of stuff isn't what I'm into, I
Right.
guess is the best way to say that.
Yeah. See, that's what. So I like to go with my bike, be able to get on my bike, ride around a little bit, see the sights, stuff like that. When you go to Daytona, you literally have to find a parking space, park your bike, and then walk the rest of the day. You second you leave that parking spot, you're done. You
Right.
know, I I don't enjoy that. Uh, I enjoy going, looking at different, vendors and seeing different things, but then being able to get on my bike and ride off and go enjoy the sunset somewhere. Um, but it's always been Daytona's always been intimidating to me, and just because of that reason. Um, I got a lot of people that go, and I may go. I may actually go and hang out. I got a good friend of mine that just moved over into that side of the woods, so that might actually be a deciding factor on whether or not I go. But there's no time.
Nice.
There's a bike show. You'll probably see me there.
Good. That's a good way to be about it. I mean, I do some checking into that. I haven't been, so I'm kind of talking about from what other people have said. But Smokeout Rally definitely seems like a good one to check out. It looks like a good time. Anything that Chris and Heather put on from Cycle Source, um, they're doing what they can to keep this motorcycle community alive and keep a magazine in our hands that we can turn the pages to. I mean, I like the internet, but I still like having a chopper magazine. That's what I grew up on, and
Right?
being able to turn the pages and still hope one day I can turn the page and see one of my motorcycles or one of my builds in there. I think that's the ultimate trophy right there in my own mindset. So,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much what I have for tonight. I appreciate your time. I mean, I can sit here and talk about motorcycles and builds all night long, and I can drag it out. And you got some awesome choppers, some awesome things you're doing, but I don't want to keep you away from all that stuff and away from your family all night long. I definitely thank you for your time and coming on here.
Having me on.
Um,
This has been fun, man.
Good. And like I said, I hope to see you when I come to Florida or see one of the shows coming along the way. We'll
Yes.
hook up and
You have my telephone number.
yeah,
It's
and I'll call you and I'll touch base with you. Maybe touch base or send you some message on here. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you sometime. So
right on.
I'll, that's what I got. I'll go ahead and let you out. I'm gonna wrap up the show. We're going on about an hour. Um, but everybody that's in the side chat, hopefully go over there and do all the subscribe stuff to him. Bueller's got some good stuff. So you have a good night and take care.
You too, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Please make sure and check out his content. If you like it, do all that fun stuff. Like, subscribe, follow him. Thank him for coming on the show if you see him out and about. And that's good luck and wish him some luck with his builds and let him get chopping. And thanks everybody for coming on. It's taking an hour out of your life on tonight's show. It was a great time. I definitely can't thank him enough for coming on and enjoy it. And everybody in the side chat coming in and spending some of the night with me. Appreciate it coming in. I got some more guests coming down the line and doing some stuff. And everybody, that's a wrap for tonight. And have a good night. We're going to roll that outro.
Sweepers, sweepers.